So, what could a ruthless ransomware gang possibly have in common with the Russian hip hop scene? Well, the answer is a whole lot stranger than you might think. Today, we're going to follow a digital trail that connects this world of international cybercrime with a totally legitimate music studio, and it all kicks off with one massive leak.
Okay, so on one hand, you've got the Conti ransomware gang. We're talking about a group that is notorious for crippling hospitals and even governments. And on the other hand, a public-facing Russian hip-hop studio, producing music, making album art. These two worlds, they just couldn't seem further apart. Or could they?
So, what is the connection here? How do these two completely different worlds possibly collide? Well, the answer lies in a huge data leak and, honestly, some absolutely brilliant digital detective work.
What we're about to unpack is a story of a criminal collaboration that was hiding in, of all places, the most unexpected of spots. First off, let's just be crystal clear about who we're dealing with. The Conti gang, yeah, they aren't your average hackers working out of a basement. They are a highly organized, pretty ruthless criminal enterprise, and they're responsible for causing billions of dollars in damage all over the world. And if you need any proof of just how serious these guys are, the US State Department has put a $10 million bounty on their heads. This isn't just about cybercrime anymore. This is a matter of international security. So, how do you even begin to unmask a group that's this powerful? Well, it all starts with a mistake. Their mistake. It starts with what we now call the Conti leaks. So, in early 2022, a huge pile of Conti's internal chat logs and files just got dumped online for the whole world to see. For cybersecurity analyst Dancho Danchev, this was, in his words, a treasure trove, and he immediately started digging through this digital crime scene. Now, uncovering the truth here wasn't about some single lucky find. Not at all. It required a really methodical process of just following a trail of digital breadcrumbs, one by one. The investigator's approach was super systematic. First, he had to get his hands on all that leaked data before it disappeared. Then, the real data mining began, just sifting through everything, looking for any potential leads. From there, it was all about enriching that data, connecting the dots, and finally, analyzing every single file and URL for any hidden clues. And that initial search, it turned up pretty much exactly what you'd expect, a ton of technical data. We're talking email addresses, IP addresses you could trace, domain names they used in their operations, and even Bitcoin addresses for tracking their money. This was all the raw material for the investigation. But here's the crazy part. The real breakthrough, the thing that cracked this whole case open, it didn't come from any of that techie stuff. It came from somewhere completely unexpected, a clue that was basically hiding in plain sight. The key to unlocking Conti's entire network wasn't hidden in their ransomware code or their hacking tools, no way. Incredibly, it was all hidden in their promotional materials, their banners, their logos, all their advertising creative. Think about this. Buried deep inside Conti's internal file servers, right alongside all their malicious software, were these totally legit-looking files. Album art for rappers, branding for fashion lines, even assets for a children's clothing store and a charity. So you have to ask yourself, why on earth would a top-tier ransomware gang have any of this stuff? This is where the detective work just gets brilliant. The investigators started taking these bizarre, totally separate dots, from malware to album art, and started connecting them into a single, coherent picture. And boom, here it is, the first major link. On the left, you've got a ransomware banner from deep inside Conti's files. On the right, a public album cover for a Russian rapper. I mean, just look at the style. The parallels are undeniable. It's the same dark digital vibe, and it's pointing to the exact same creative source. So the first solid connection was made. A piece of creative that was produced for the Conti gang was traced directly to the album art for a Russian rapper known as Sling. And just like that, the criminal underworld and the music scene had a very real intersection. So what was the common thread? It was the producer. All the signs were pointing to a single source, a Russian recording studio called Plazik. They were actively creating marketing materials for one of the world's most dangerous cybercrime gangs. And get this, it wasn't just a one-time thing. The investigation then uncovered similar creative assets linked to another artist from that very same studio, a rapper by the name of Ice Cool. This wasn't some accident, it was a clear pattern of collaboration. Okay, so we've connected a notorious ransomware gang to a public rap studio.
It's a fascinating story for sure, but what are the real-world implications? Why does this whole discovery actually matter?
Well, for starters, it completely shatters this idea of anonymous, faceless hackers, right? This investigation proves that these massive cybercrime operations are run by real people who also operate and invest in legitimate, public-facing businesses.
And the investigator, Dancho Danchev, he really drives this point home. He says the people at the Plazik studio weren't just some unwitting contractors hired online. He concluded they were working directly with Conti gang members, which means they knew exactly who they were working for. They were part of the operation.
And really, this pulls back the curtain on a core strategy for these big criminal enterprises. They diversify. They use what look like legitimate businesses, recording studios, fashion brands, even charities, as fronts to launder their money and create this appearance of legitimacy. And that leaves us with this final, pretty unsettling thought. If one of the world's biggest and baddest ransomware gangs was hiding behind a hip-hop studio, how many other criminal enterprises are out there operating right out in the open, just hiding in plain sight?